Katherine Macdonald about the Elm Bank property located in Dover with entrances off Route 16 in Wellesley, about new renovations made to the property with funding from the Amelia Peabody Charitable Fund.
Elm Bank is on the National Register of Historic Places for 3 reasons. The founder of American Express, Benjamin Cheney, this is his estate. And the manor house that you see behind you was designed by Carrere and Hastings, who are the architects that did the New York Public Library. And this is one of their very few residential examples. And the garden we're standing in is a historic garden, and it was designed by the Olmsted brothers. And it's an Italianate garden, and this was developed for Alice Baltzell, who was Benjamin Cheney's daughter, who then took over the estate after his death. We did a renovation to this garden last year in the fact that the beds were in a different configuration. We've changed those to be more in style with an Italianate garden.
Okay, and that's really why we're here to talk about some of the improvements that you made.
Right.
So why don't we talk about some of those?
So the one right behind me we're very excited about. Before Mass Hort came to this property, when my children were playing soccer over on the soccer fields, that fountain was on its side out in the field. And when Mass Hort came here in their first renovation of this garden, they reinstalled the fountain. And this really isn't a reflecting pool, it's a lily pond, and we will be putting lilies in it later. And the history of the fountain is when Mrs. Baltzell married Dr. Baltzell, as was done in the early 1900s, they went on a 2-year honeymoon. And what they did on their honeymoon was they kept sending artifacts back that they were buying. So the history of the fountain is it's a replica of a 14th century Italian baptismal font. It was bought in Italy and shipped back here. And when I got here 2 years ago, the fountain, as I said, had been placed maybe 11 years before in its current site, and it had started to have cracks from freezing, and it really wasn't working as a fountain. And so one of my first grants that I wrote was to do the conservation and restoration on it, and we were very appreciative. The Amelia Peabody Fund gave us the grant to restore this, and we used a company in Watertown called Daedalus, and they are marble artifact historical conservators. That's what they do. They do a lot of work in Mount Auburn Cemetery and for the city of Boston and other big, across the country, lots of big conservations. So a year ago in April, I had them take it away, and if you look around, it's not so easy to take this away. It weighs 350 pounds, and as you can see, an Italianate garden is like a room. It's enclosed on 4 sides. So we had to bring in a crane that would have a 93-foot reach from over the copper beech hedge to the center of the pool to place it in place. So it's a big deal transportation-wise just to get it back. So it's been back about a couple of weeks, and it really just looks wonderful, and we're hoping to take great care of it and to preserve it for, another, how many, hundreds of years, I hope.
So did you have to take it out in pieces, or just one?
No, it's if you look at it, the top, like a teacup, is one piece. And then there's 2 other, that big structure below it, and the structure that goes behind that. So, the 3 sections were taken out of here. And they then left it in Daedalus's workshop so they could work on it for a year. And then we brought it back. This one of the businesses that Mass Hort does to help support itself, because we don't receive any state or federal funds. So we're a nonprofit supported by donors and members. But we have a very vibrant wedding business, and this Italianate garden is their favorite spot for weddings, and so it's a really important design element in this landscape that people really enjoy. So we wanted to get it back in time for wedding season, and so we're so excited to have it back.
So is there a being used for weddings
Yes.
before you installed this fountain still?
Yes, we had a temporary fountain and after the year it was out.
Okay.
So we had someone loaned us a fountain and we had that going, and it was a beautiful fountain, looked great, but when you put the real one back in, it just dwarfed what the other one was. It's a very special piece of art.
Yeah. And then are there concerns moving forward with how this is going to end up in the weather?
Yes, I think the thing you don't realize about something like this is it's not just water going in the top, but it's water coming into the sides through. So it'll be really important for us for maintenance to have it completely wrapped, and with sort of a plastic tarp during the winter season to protect it completely. And we'll definitely have a plan for its maintenance and care to make sure we're taking care of it.
Wedding season probably just started.
Yes, it actually started at the beginning of April. We are totally booked for weddings, unless people want to move to like a Friday or a Sunday. And we're booking 2014 and 15 right now because it's just a very special place to have a wedding. It's so pretty, and lots of brides coming to visit, and their mothers, and their grooms.
So, want to talk briefly about some of the other attractions around the property?
Sure. One of the other gardens that children like is Wheezy's Garden, which is down towards the end of this garden and across the way. It's one of the most magical children's gardens in New England, and it's really beautiful. And it has a sandbox and a pool with goldfish in it for children. It's a very busy place. We also have a garden called the New England Trial Garden, and that was the first garden you probably walked by. In the New England Trial Garden, we actually trial plants for growers to see how they're going to make it in New England. And we're one of 3 trial gardens in New England. There's one in Maine and one in Storrs at the University of Connecticut and one here. So growers sent us plants, or what we call plugs, start plants, and we monitor how they do. And then we report back at the end of the season. And it really informs, and these are plants that really aren't on the open market yet because they're being tested here. And right across the way, we have a 1-acre garden called the Bressingham Garden, which was designed by Adrian Bloom, who's a world-renowned nurseryman from England. And he has his own garden. It's called Foggy Bottom, and with the Bressingham family of gardens. And we call it a 4 seasons landscape. In fact, that there are plants and there's interest in that garden all year round. Even in the winter, there's textures and different colors that are pretty amazing. But it's a great garden for people to look at and dream that their front yard looks like, because it's very pretty.
Anything else that you think you want to add?
Well, just, we exist to help people enjoy horticulture, enjoy the beauty of gardens, and also learn how to be better gardeners themselves. So every Thursday night we have a program called Thursday Night at the Hort. So we have different speakers on different topics come in, and you can come to Thursday Night at the Hort and learn about, it might be on vegetable gardening or roses or some other subject, composting. You can come in and learn about that. In March we're very involved with the flower show. So Massachusetts Horticultural Society runs all the amateur competitions at the flower show, so that's floral design and amateur hort and photography competitions. That's kind of what we're doing during that part of the time. We also have at the end of the property a little less than 1 acre vegetable garden, and it's got 2 different sections. One is called the Chef's Garden, and it's as pretty as it is edible. And the other section is what you call production, so rows of plants. And everything that we harvest from there, we supply 2 food pantries with produce all summer and through the fall. And last year we harvested 3,500 pounds of produce for the Wellesley Food Pantry and also for the Native Service Council. So we have a very big production going out to people who can enjoy it, and we're really proud to be able to do that.
How would they get in contact with you about things?
I think if you just go to our website, which is masshort.org, and you can click on functions, or just give us a call at 617-933-4900, and Jen Courtney is our function manager, and she's the person that people would need to see.
In addition to these stories,